All right, everybody. Unhappy Friday. Coming to you live once again from our humble abode. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio, part of the Green Legion Radio family. We thank you, as always, for joining us from wherever you may be and whatever service you're using to tune in. So please pull up a chair, turn up the volume, use the company dime if you're still stuck at work, though on a Friday night, I hope the hell you're not. Crack open a cold one if you got the opportunity. And let's try to have some fun as we put an end to this week's hostage situation and look forward to another almighty weekend, a super wild card weekend while we are at it. A little bit of technical difficulties tonight, folks. We've got no Facebook, and my printer's not working. So while I did make a run sheet, it's a bit of a struggle bus today. So let's see who we got in the room so far. Sam and Lou Mancini. Lou Mancini says the water's a little cold. Sam would like to talk about my pants. These are my Reese's Peanut Butter Cup pants. I am at home, and I am very relaxed. Lou Mancini says 3-day weekend as well. Sam, I see you're texting me here. No, you're not going to hijack me. You pop in whenever you want. Let me get off and rolling here, and then once I post that StreamYard link, you are good to jump in whenever after that. Not that you need to click the link. Obviously, you can just jump in whenever you want, but you'll know that I'm ready once you see that. Who else in the room here? Keenan jumps in. What's up, peeps? How we doing? Mike English, 7:15. Well, so with that, and really, I guess I didn't have to do it tonight because of the Facebook thing, but that is a Facebook thing. We kind of have to put the 15-minute thing in there because if you're late, I guess Facebook will dump you or whatever. It's a lesson I learned from Sam, so I take it as gospel. But how the hell are all of you, apart from, the obvious disaster that's going on with our birds? And we can get to some of that. I don't really know how much I want to talk about it, to be perfectly honest with you. So let me run through the business end of stuff here. Then we're going to put that StreamYard link up. And if Sam would like to join in then, obviously we'd love to have her. So let's get right to it. Folks, if you're tuning in on Facebook or Twitter, and I guarantee you are not tuning in on Facebook tonight, please do not forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Green Legion. If those services are where you're comfortable, we totally get it. But the YouTube channel is the best way to view, listen, and comment, interact with us on any streaming Green Legion radio show. So please do us a solid. Even if you're more comfortable on those services we just mentioned, head on over to YouTube, search the Green Legion, subscribe, hit your little bell for notifications, and don't forget to share that everywhere. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, just everywhere you can possibly imagine. We always want to flood the interwebs with nothing but Green Legion. The All-Pro Green Legion Player Show at Chickies and Pete's in Marlton, New Jersey. That is 7 to 9 p.m. live on Fox Sports The Gambler 102.5 in Philadelphia and South Jersey, on the iHeartRadio app, and at foxphlgambler.com. Usually Monday nights, depends, obviously scheduling things with the radio station might change that, but generally speaking, it is on Monday nights. Featuring soon-to-be Hall of Famer Irving Fryer, Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, player agent Gerald Colton, the Green Legion radio crew, and, of course, a current Eagle on the roster. I don't know how happy those guys are right now, though. If they're anything like us as fans, they're probably not very happy. Don't forget to check that out, though. An excellent 2 hours of radio. You do not want to miss it. Always a lot of fun. Sometimes they're able to stream it where you can interact like this. You don't get the response that you get from Right on Cue or from the Unhappy Gilmore Show, where we are podcasts. That All-Pro Green Legion Player Show is a radio show, so a little bit more difficult to interact with the room. As for this show, the Unhappy Gilmore Show, still looking for sponsors. We've got a startup company out here, a permanent home outdoor lighting company that some guys I know are launching, and sometime around early summer, late spring, early summer, they're going to be looking to advertise more. So hopefully we can latch on with them, but going to take more than that. So if you like what you're seeing, if you're having fun with this show like we are, you know someone who is a small business owner who would be looking for some additional advertising, the monetary commitment is not huge. We're a small-time podcast, so the monetary commitment is not much. It's a year-long, small commitment, and then to be reviewed at the end of that year, not to raise the rate, but just to make sure that the partnership is doing what we want it to do on both ends. So, again, if you yourself or anyone you know is looking for additional advertising for their business, please reach out to me. Most of the folks on here know how to get a hold of me through social media. A lot of you even have my personal number. So, would appreciate the help there. That could be Philly, Ohio, Tampa Bay, anywhere. We'll take it as it comes. And that's about it for the business end of things, right? We're heading into a playoff game, so I know there was a package to join the Green Legion down in Tampa Bay this weekend. I can tell you I went there week 3. Of course, our Birds, things were a lot different then, weren't they? I know Quimby on Right On Cue just a couple of nights ago mentioned at that time that the package had been out for roughly a day and a half, and there were, at that point, only 30 people signed up for tailgate and 1 person on a travel package. So put that in perspective. Our tailgate alone, week 3 in Tampa, was 1,500 people. Just give you an idea of how far this Birds team has fallen and what it's done to the fan base. And I'm sure, the Green Legion's competition out there is feeling some of that as well. So hopefully things have gotten better throughout the week. I did not ask Sam or Steph for an update. It was just a little bit too depressing. So, all right. And then we're looking forward to next year, right? So, we got our playoff run, however deep that goes. And then we talked a couple of weeks ago about possible destinations for next year. That's locked in. You guys saw earlier this week the home games, the home teams for the Europe games were announced. The Birds will not be going to Europe this in the 2024 season, which I can't tell you how happy I am about that. Some people call me crazy. I am not a fan of it. I am not a fan of the NFL playing games over in Europe like this. And certainly the way our schedule has gone this season with the gauntlet of bullshit we had to run through, I am perfectly happy if all of our games remain right here in the continental United States, although there is still the possibility of a Brazil game, which I am also not a fan of. The NFL wants to sell you on player safety, yet we all know everything is a money grab. And we're going to talk about one of those money grabs here in just a little while. So that's where we're at with that. Let's jump over the room here one more time. I know Sam is in here. Keenan, Mike English, Lou Mancini. Lou Mancini, let's talk. Let's end the Belichick talk. Dude is not coming here, so shut the front door. Hey, look, and Sam and I spoke on the phone briefly while I was trying to get things together tonight. And I don't think anybody really wants Nick to be shown the door, but when it comes time to talk Birds, we're going to get right to that. So here's the link. Sam, if you want to jump in, you go right ahead. Anybody else wants to jump in, go ahead and click that link I just put up. We'll pull you onto the screen here, and you can banter with us as we work our way through this evening. Try to have some fun. Before we hopefully don't get our heart broken on Monday night. What else do we got going on over here? Mike Clay is the best coach. Oh, here she is. And welcome aboard, dear. How are you?
You like my name?
I do. Angry Sam.
I am angry.
Yeah, well, you should be. Everyone should.
Talking about Belichick.
Okay. You want to start there? You want to go right for it?
Yeah.
I've got some notes on Belichick. We can do that.
We're allowed to curse in this one, right?
Absolutely. It's a podcast there.
He fucking pisses me off. I don't understand why he's the topic of every fucking conversation. This is ridiculous. He shouldn't even
because he's won 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah, he cheated to win 6 Super Bowls. Him and his shitty team and his shitty people and Tom Brady and all that crap. I need him to go away and never come back.
Well, he's going to go away from New England, obviously.
Yeah.
But I promise you he is going to coach again.
Ugh.
And it's going to happen rather quickly. I'd be surprised
because he wants that record, right?
He wants that record. Yes, he does. Very much so. So I had some notes on Belichick because to me, them parting ways was not a surprise. No. I was not shocked at all. Some people were. Some people thought he was going to stay. I was not surprised at all.
No, especially the way he was talking at the end of those press conferences, he was ready.
Now, what I can tell you is, having watched pieces of the press conference where they parted ways, I thought both sides did a really good job. Where they've been normally kind of standoffish and shitty. Bill out there in a suit, kind of ingratiating himself to the audience.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Yeah, and there's your fan club. Keenan Harmon heading up the fan club.
It's not my fault I have my people. Kiss pants to me, Keenan.
So Belichick is the coach there from 2000 to 2023. He finishes with a record there of 266 and 121. 30-12 in the playoffs, of course, the 6 Super Bowls. And he's also got 2 more as a defensive coordinator with the freaking Giants. In total, he has 331 coaching wins. That puts him just 15 wins away from breaking Don Shula's record.
Yep.
And that's what he is going to hang on for.
Sure
I promise you that. All accounts are
up there, son of a bitch bastard.
So you think he's going to get the what would that be? 330, 348 and just say, I'm done.
It's going to take him 2 seasons. He's going to turn 75 and he's going to call it a day.
2 seasons? Where is he going that it's only going to take him 2 seasons?
I just think he could do 15 in 2 seasons.
So you're talking 7 wins 1 year, 8 the next, or something like that.
Yeah, he doesn't even.
Atlanta's probably the spot for that right now.
He doesn't even have to make the playoffs. What did I say? Atlanta.
Atlanta's probably the spot for that.
Right.
But can you picture Bill Belichick as the coach of the Falcons?
I mean, it's going to happen. He's going to go somewhere warm, then he's going to retire in Florida, and then we're going to put him out to pasture with his boyfriend Tom Brady.
Right, but of all places, does Bill Belichick really fit the Atlanta culture?
No, but Tom Brady didn't.
I mean, Arthur Smith doesn't fit the Atlanta culture, which is why he was let go too. And Arthur Blank, the owner, doesn't fit the culture down there.
Brady didn't fit Tampa either, but that's what they do.
Oh, I think Brady fit Tampa. At that point in his life, I think he fit Tampa just fine. I actually warmed up to Brady more when he left New England.
Shut up, Adam.
He at least looked human, right? It wasn't this robot.
Hold on. I got to bring this picture up.
Oh God, I think I've angered her even more.
You didn't anger me. This is my Photoshop Diaz picture.
My Photoshop Diaz picture.
Can you see what the?
Let me move this.
That's Florida Brady.
Florida Brady. Yeah, he had to be carried out of there. He's throwing a Super Bowl trophy around. He had never done anything like that in New England. So at least he looked human.
He's a slob.
But I do have some funny stuff for you about Belichick too.
Yeah.
So I know you hate him. We all hate him. Got it. So let's flash back to when Brady first became the starter, right? Back in 2000. Keep in mind, Drew Bledsoe was the man there, and he had gotten hurt. But he had signed the biggest contract in the history of the league at that point. Well, what if Bill at that point had decided to go back to Bledsoe? It would have been a real easy decision to make given the contract. It was what the owner wanted at the time. But he sticks with Tom. But if he doesn't, do we even know who Tom Brady is?
That would have been my ideal situation.
Does Bill Belichick become this dude?
No.
Or does he end up part of that conversation where he's a great coordinator but can't make that jump to head coach? Because previous to that, his head coaching had not been good. He wasn't good in Cleveland. Obviously, it was a disaster with the Jets when he left. And he goes to New England, and it was kind of sputtering. And then Brady takes over. Now, to his credit, he kept Bledsoe on the bench. But if he puts Bledsoe back in, we may never hear about this. Ever. One decision.
I can't go back in time, but if I could, I'd Back to the Future the shit out of that situation.
You'll destroy the space-time continuum, right?
Exactly.
It'll be a major paradox. You can't do that.
In a heartbeat.
I mean, I think for a long time, because that 2008 season, Brady gets hurt, and the Pats still go 11-5. there was a lot of school of thought that it was more about Belichick's culture, the Patriots way, all this shit. But then Brady ends up leaving the Pats, and the Pats stink, right? Like they were terrible the last couple of years.
I know, but that's not one person didn't leave and they became terrible. The whole team left.
Yeah, but you lost the best quarterback that ever stepped on a football field.
Adam, I swear to God, I'll slam this computer down so fast.
I understand, but it's kind of hard to argue with. We've got every major passing record plus 7 fucking Super Bowls.
That's what happens when you cheat your way to winning.
You know I'm doing this just to poke at you, right?
And it's working. It's working.
All right. So what else do you got about Bill, or do you want to move on?
No, that's all I have about Bill Belichick. What do you think the chances are that this any of these games are going to get like snowed out or pushed back?
None of them are getting pushed back.
None of them?
No. If there was anyone that was going to get pushed back, it would be tomorrow night in Kansas City, where the wind chill is supposed to be like 30.
Yeah.
And they're not talking about that at all.
Okay.
So, Lou and Ashley are going to be at that game, right?
Yeah. I mean, do they know that they have to dress for like? They have to dress.
This isn't just winter. You have to dress for like going to Antarctica here.
Yeah, like I mean, this is a 3 pairs of pants situation, not just a 2 pairs
easily. Yeah, and we all know Ashley's not used to wearing
pants. Right.
So...
I mean, this is full snow. Like they had to buy snowsuits.
Oh yeah, and try shopping for that in Miami.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Like you need.
I'm pretty sure she had to order because they just don't sell it down there.
Dress for Hoth. Exactly. So far, I have someone sitting on my couch right now that has never seen Back to the Future or Star Wars. So none of these references are making any sense. I know, Adam. We'll talk about it.
What? Why are they even in? Why are they in your house?
Adam, we'll talk about it later.
Oh dear God. So yeah, they're stuck going to the frozen tundra out in Kansas City with reports of -30.
Yeah. And it's like 7. I think we just read 7 degrees, right?
7, but then the wind chill.
Right.
So like I would have called this a Kansas City win just based on normal winter and warm weather Miami going out there. It's just not a good matchup for them. But
this is cold for everybody. This is not just
that cold.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a clear advantage for anyone. Honestly, you could almost make the argument that the bigger advantage is to the team with the deeper running game. And that's Miami.
Yeah. The only other thing I was thinking was that they kick, like Miami can't practice in cold weather. Like they can't practice outside.
Did you hear what they did?
No. What happened?
At their indoor practice facility, they turned the air down to 50 degrees.
Yeah, like what's that going to do? 50.
You're still 80 degrees off what it's going to feel like.
I'm going to go outside right now and smoke a cigarette in 35-degree weather with no jacket. You're practicing in 50. That's not going to do shit.
That's not going to cut it, Dolphins. But I mean, with it being that cold, I'm not sure there's a clear advantage for anyone. I'm still going to pick the Chiefs just because they're home. And until somebody beats Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, I'm picking Kansas City. Lou Ashley, if you see this later or whatever, I'm sorry. But it's hard for me to imagine Miami going to Kansas City and winning that game.
Yeah.
Especially after the way they looked against Buffalo.
But like some of those old guys, like Travis Kelce's not going to play great in that weather either.
Nobody's going to play great.
Yeah.
I just, the Chiefs are home.
Yeah.
And that's,
we had
Miami
fun, Adam. We had fun in Kansas City, Adam.
We did, but it wasn't -30.
No, but it was pretty gross out, but we still
It was wet. It was for anybody that wasn't there, it was like 38 degrees, wind and rain, which is about the most miserable weather you can stand outside in.
I had to have my brother power wash those boots that I had on because of how muddy they were.
Oh, I'm sure. Trying to walk out of there. And talk about a disaster of a place to get in and out of. Even just the foot traffic getting in and out of there was a mess.
That tunnel was a little claustrophobic, but I mean.
Well, I'm glad we didn't go that way coming back out.
How did you get out?
I was with Cap on the way out.
Would you guys go some secret? Me and Cap went through the tunnel on the way in.
Right. On the way in, it was more broken. It was more loose. And going out, it was a mess. So I followed Cap, and Cap he knew another way to get out around it all. So I just went with him.
Of course, Cap knows that.
Yeah, Cap always knows where to go.
I had my first corn dog in Dallas 2 weeks after with Cap. I never had a corn dog before, and he insisted I get one.
How old were you when you first had this corn dog?
It was in Dallas at the Dallas.
This year?
It was
this year. Your first corn dog?
I never had one. I don't know. Where do you get one? Like, where do you randomly go get a corn dog? A fair?
Yeah.
We don't have fairs where I live. South Philly does not have fairs.
There's fairs in Jersey.
Yeah, I'd have to go out to Hamilton or something. I go to the Italian festival in South Philly. What I get is a cannoli.
Well, yeah, you're not going to get a corn dog at the Italian festival in Philly. You asked for a corn dog, they beat you with a cannoli.
Right, exactly. Look what Keenan wrote.
What do we? Yeah, I got to get back over here. Where did Keenan write? We won't see the game, Piscock. So you heard about that too, right?
I heard, yeah. Well, so I have Peacock.
But do you have Peacock Plus?
So there's 3 levels of Peacock.
Right.
There's the free one.
Which is the one I have.
There's the $5.99 one. And there's like the $9.99 one. And apparently I have the $9.99 one, according to Dante.
Okay, so you get to watch the game.
But it's on the $5.99 one. It's on the middle one.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Okay, I'm just telling you and yes, I do get to watch the game, but I do think there are levels of cock. Yes, there are.
Andy Bagley joins the room from Twitter. All right, I guess he doesn't like YouTube.
There's corn dogs on the boardwalk? Okay, Keenan, I'll go find
I'm sure there are.
This
is why I'm so surprised.
I know. Look, I enjoyed it. It was a good time.
I don't know if I'm more surprised or disappointed.
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, I fed you a Panzerotti, and now next time I see you, have to get me a corn dog.
I ate 2 of them. I did. I had 2 in that one sitting. It was quite a spectacle. But you heard about this whole thing with Peak. So it's streaming only.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
For $110 million. So this is where I'm going to put my Quimby hat on.
Oh, do it. Do it.
And instead of talking about, the matchup and the cold weather and all of that shit, Peacock for $110 million, which comes out to just under $3.5 million per team in the revenue streaming. Thanks, NFL, for once again showing us that you give 0 shits about your fans and you literally only care about the money grab.
Yeah.
Same reason why I don't buy into the NFL Europe or the Thursday night or the player safety shit. Because if you cared that much, they wouldn't be flying over to Europe and they would not play Thursday night games.
So I can't speak to Germany. I can't speak to what next year, Brazil. I can't speak to any of that. I will say the London situation is those stadiums hold so much more than our football.
Well, they're soccer stadiums.
Right, and they are enormous.
Yeah, they're huge.
To do 1 game a year over there in London, I think is a good thing. It's English speaking. They're very welcoming. It was an easy transition. But I'm not crazy about. I don't think it's good. I don't think we don't need to go to Germany. We don't need to go to Brazil. I'm with you. No. I'm 50% with you on that.
Yeah, and I'm happy the Birds are not in Europe. But, if you want, look, let me put it this way: you want to play NFL Europe, go right ahead. Leave my team out of it.
Right.
Especially with the way this year's schedule went, and how they scheduled us against these teams.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think that any team, every team, should definitely have a bye week and a home game. Some of these schedule situations, I think they need to relook at in general.
Yeah, I don't think there should never be a time when you play on Sunday and turn around and play on Thursday night. That should never happen.
That should never happen. How about, if we win Monday, we could be playing Saturday.
We could. It's true. I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll put it on Sunday.
Well, I didn't think there'd be a freaking Monday night game for playoffs either.
Oh, I knew that was good. Look, we went into the weekend knowing that there were 3 primetime possibilities. I knew we were getting one of them. I just prayed it was Saturday instead of Sunday night or Monday. You have any idea what it's like trying to get people together on a Monday night?
On a Monday night after a holiday weekend when kids have to go back to school?
Back to school, and it's not to mention it's going to be 8 degrees out here Monday night.
8
Here.
Do you say 8 degrees?
8.
8?
8 on Monday night here in Cincinnati.
No, thank you.
Right. So we were getting probably 40 a week coming out. I think I've got 9 or 10 on that playoff game. That coupled with the fact that the Birds have been terrible.
I can't even get my dad to drive 1 mile to my house.
But it's cold like that?
On a Monday night.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? And you live 10 minutes from the lake.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't even. He would have went to the game if it was home. He would have went because it's playoffs.
Sure.
But he won't even come to my house on a Monday night.
Yeah. Mike English got it right here. Second night in a row, or second year in a row for Monday night playoffs. Yeah. And I remember it last year too. I don't like it.
No.
I don't, for the exact reason that Sam said before, because it puts somebody in a short week.
Yes, it does.
Somebody's going to be on a short. Even if we win and play on Sunday, it's still a short week. It's still 6 days. It's bullshit. While you could end up with, the winners on Saturday playing on Sunday, so they get 8 days. It's really not fair.
And super well rested and healed, not healed, but no, I don't like any of it.
No, I'm not a fan. And I go back to the Thursday shit. Don't try to sell me on player safety when you're scheduling games 3.5 days apart.
Right.
I don't want to hear it.
No, yeah, don't. No.
No, I don't believe a word coming out of your mouth. It's all about that money grab. So thanks, NFL, for $110 million. We get to deal with. And how does that work from the commercial end? So the Sunday ticket, the residential portion went to YouTube. The commercial side stayed with DirecTV. Because you're Buffalo Wild Wings and all these places, they can't possibly stream to all of those televisions.
No.
Right?
No, that would definitely glitch. I can barely to 2 TVs in my house.
You'd break the internet, right? There'd be no way. There's not enough bandwidth to handle all that. So the commercial side of the Sunday ticket stayed with DirecTV for that purpose. But now you're telling me Miami at Kansas City is streaming only? What is the back porch supposed to do? What's Chickies and Pete's supposed to do? What are all these places going to do?
What about NFL Network? They have some streaming service.
It is only streaming on Peacock, from what I understand.
Again with the cock. Seriously.
The cock, yeah. It's only streaming on the cock.
And seriously, like you didn't know 9 million football fans were going to turn around and make fun of this and have a problem with this and cause issues with this. NFL Network today was like biting their tongue trying not to bring it up because they can't. Yeah. They can't.
I mean, I just don't get the logic. And all of these big establishments, especially places like Chickies and Pete's, places like Buffalo Wild Wings, huge local chain places that people go to, should be furious with all of this.
Apparently, local network is the exception. So I guess Kansas City and Miami is going to be the exception to this.
Right, but it's the playoffs.
No,
what about the rest of the nation?
I agree. I agree with you, Adam. There you go. Here's one. Count it. I agree with you, Adam.
Oh, shit.
NFL Plus, they may have it. That's what I heard, Mike, but I didn't know if that was true.
NFL Plus is also a streaming.
Yes, it's also streaming, but it's
also a streaming service.
Yeah, but people signed up for that in the beginning of the year. You could have.
But I'm talking about your bars, restaurants,
no
places that count on that business as part of their revenue stream.
The Sunday ticket people are pissed.
Yeah, that they didn't get the Peacock game.
I can't.
They're pissed at the cock. Yeah. What else did you have on your mind there, darling?
That was pretty much it. I was pissed off that every TV is talking about Bill Belichick. Like I need that. Like I need a hole in my head. Might as well sign me up for more brain surgery if that's what we're going to do is talk about Bill Belichick on 17 channels all day, every day for 3 days. No, thank you.
I honestly think that Nick Saban should have gotten more airtime.
That's it. That's all I was complaining about. Is that my issues with the Patriots The usual
All
stuff.
right. So here, Andrew says, so they would rather televise the Browns and Texans, not the Dolphins Chiefs. Okay, Andrew, I'm going to tell you right now,
the Browns and Texans won't draw.
Everyone is sleeping on that Browns-Texans game. That has the chance to be the game of the weekend. I love that matchup.
No, it's going to be a great game. It's not going to have a draw.
It doesn't have the draw.
Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Miami being in negative 12-degree weather has
That's the draw.
Yeah. And that will make people pay for this. And
it will.
Quimby bitching about it the other day. I bet he has it. I bet he has it.
Either him or he'll make Dan sign up for it.
I'm between Rex, him, and Dan. Someone has it in that house already, and they don't know it.
I have Peacock. And when they first started doing these games on Peacock, you didn't have to have the plus or the extra or whatever. And I only had Peacock because we have the Xbox Live accounts. So we got it for free.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to go watch a movie like a year or so ago, and it asked me to register for Peacock Plus or whatever. I'm like, motherfucker, I paid for I didn't even know how many friggin' streaming services I already paid for with these kids and everything.
Well,
I'm not paying for another one.
Dante doesn't have cable, so we have everything.
Right.
But I'm stealing it from him, or he's stealing it from me. But he doesn't have cable, so this is whatever.
I'm ready to cut the cord. As the kids get older, they're just watching YouTube and stuff more often than not, anyways.
Yeah, but
I'm ready to.
But think about that. If you have YouTube TV, you still have to have Peacock. Every time I say Peacock, I think I need a rubber band to snap on my wrist.
I'd say the only thing that stops me from cutting the cord is sports.
Right.
That is the only reason. Because if I cut it, now I don't get anything. I don't have Fox. I don't have CBS. I mean, I guess I could go get an HD antenna. But what am I going to do? Go get
that's
of them for every TV in my house?
Liz has the antenna, and then she has 3 streaming services. I think she has the ESPN Plus, Hulu, Disney Plus bundle or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, that's what we have.
And then she has antenna.
So we have that bundle. We have Netflix. I think I'm still paying for Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I have that. But there's
Amazon I have just because I have an Amazon account. So
Paramount Paramount I have for SEAL Team.
SEAL Team?
Yeah.
Dude. And Amazon
Marines, sign me up.
They could charge me extra for Amazon, and I would pay it just to watch Reacher.
I don't start yet because don't talk about it yet.
Did you watch season 1?
No.
What's your problem?
I'm a day late and $1 short.
You know what? I'm gonna have to tell you to go down to the supermarket, get a box of corn dogs, and then sit down and put on Reacher. Mike English, but the NFL is genius. Put that game on Peacock. We'll bring in all the Swifties.
Yeah, he's right.
The Swifties already have Peacock. I promise. Mike English, now the bars don't get Saturday night game, but now get Monday night. Wait till all the playoff games are streaming. They can't. They cannot. The same reason why they can't, why they couldn't force the Sunday ticket to go all in streaming.
This is
can't stream all that shit.
This weekend will be a good test.
Yeah. I don't know what establishment is going to try to run that shit. I may go, you know what? I may venture out tomorrow night and just bounce around and see. Not drinking, just going out to see how they're handling it.
I think that's a good idea, Adam, because it would be a neat, if you have a downtown area near you where you could just kind of pop your head in to see who's actually playing the game. That would be a great.
There's a bunch of places, just not even. I mean, I don't have to go to downtown Cincy for that shit.
I could do the same. You know where we got Water Ice?
Mm-hmm.
That's that area. I could do the same thing there. It's just because there's 10 bars there.
Yeah, I may do that because there's a couple. There's a bunch right within 5-10 minutes of me, and just pop in and see how they're all handling it. I don't know. The back porch, before we knew what game we were playing, I was concerned. If it becomes that Saturday night game, what are we going to do? I was starting to talk to people about, do I have to rent a massive TV or projector screen, put it in my driveway, and have 50 people sitting outside with a fire pit and a keg of beer.
I mean, that's what they did for Phillies games. That's what they did during the Philly season when the Phillies went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
You could literally drive down streets and see people having it like projected and watching
on the side of their house. Yeah. That was like the only option. I'm like, I don't know what else we're going to do. And then, of course, we end up with the Monday night game.
I'm hijacking your chat real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Water ice.
That's right. I did say that, Keenan, and I'll say it again.
And she treated us to everything great about that area while we were there to visit. It was awesome.
Panzerati's, water ice, anything South Jersey related.
Yep, Panzerati's, water ice. We had good pizza on top of that. We got the cheesesteaks from Angelo's. I mean, we ate good. That's for damn sure when we were there.
That's the whole point. What other reason? You see the Liberty Bell and you eat. That's the only reason to come to Philadelphia.
Well, anytime I go back anywhere near home, right?
Yeah.
Like
me and Michelle went to the beach. So
you went to the beach. You did. The boys and I went for the baseball. You all went to the beach.
It wasn't a bad day.
It didn't sound like it was a bad day.
All right. I guess I'm done. I think I'm done bitching now. My pizza will be here and I will pop out. But I just need to say this. If I start bitching on my Facebook or Instagram on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, I need someone to call me and calm me down. Because I'm afraid a phone's going to go through a TV, and I just got a brand new TV, and I might need.
Well, so if this is about continues to be about Belichick, don't let that cheating bastard live rent free in your head.
That's where he always lives because I hate them.
Well, he's done now. Well, at least for the moment.
Whew. Yeah, for 5 more minutes until he's all over my TV again because he got a new job.
And he will. He'll get hired somewhere. Atlanta just feels weird for him. Crotchety old white guy in Atlanta. It just doesn't feel like a good mix. But
I'll bet it. I
mean, I could see it. It's the spot where he would get unless he goes to the Chargers. Unless he ends up in LA.
Just the last one.
The last one. Samantha's a Sith Lord. I'm not trying to calm Sam down. I'll give it a shot. I don't know if it'll work, but I will try.
Just check on me. That's all I'm saying. Just check on me, Adam.
Right. Has anyone checked on Sam?
She okay? No, she's not okay. All right, kids. Stay out of trouble, and I'll be listening.
All right, Darren. Thanks for popping in. Good to see you. Bye. Super Sam, everyone. She's not the best for no reason. Wanted to pop in and give her thoughts on how terrible Bill Belichick is. And I'm sure we all agree with the fact that we're sick of him. So we're kind of off script there, which is absolutely fine. I'd much rather have her pop in than just read this stuff to you. Not to mention the fact that I don't have it printed out in front of me because my printer decided to be a jerk off tonight. So let's hop on over here. Sam and I were talking for a while, and Detroit. There we go. Russ Taylor, Detroit versus Cleveland. The world will burn. I've had this conversation with a few people. If it ends up Detroit versus Cleveland, you guys, everyone, you'll have 2 weeks to stock up on bottled water, canned goods, any other non-perishables, and find a shelter to climb into. Because yes, I believe the world will end if those two actually make it to a Super Bowl. Keenan says jailbroke fire stick. The jailbroke fire stick would probably work for tomorrow night. I am not going through all that again. I used to have one. I stopped updating it. I'm like, whatever. I mean, I'll just have it, on my phone. Just looking at the game day stuff, whatever. Water ice. And Andrew Bagley. Damn, I need to see this team actually play like a team. Does this happen? All right. So we want to get to the birds. We want to cut all the other BS out of it and just get to the birds. We can do that. I was going to talk coaches for a little bit, but we can talk birds. Look, to me, Monday night becomes very simple. You are going to know Monday night whether or not Nick Sirianni has lost the locker room. Now, I think all of you were on with us on Tuesday night, right on cue, when we talked about this. My opinion is if the Birds come out and get whacked on Monday night, or just even if they don't get whacked, I think the score doesn't look that bad, but they look pathetic. I'm pretty sure Nick Sirianni is going to lose his job, which sounds crazy. Now, I've got a friend out here, he's part of my group out here, Josh, who is not advocating for that. He's very much against firing Nick Sirianni, and I don't blame him. Okay, it's not a you're wrong type of situation here. What I'm saying is if we get whacked on Monday night or just look awful in the process of a loss, it's going to become very obvious that the rumors of him having lost the locker room, that those would be true, that those weren't just rumors, that they were true. And these are grown men in that locker room, okay? This is not college kids where you can then go put your arm around them, hey, I'm sorry, let me make it up to you, blah, 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 blah. If he has lost the locker room, he's not getting it back, all right? And at that point, you have to send him on his way. That's one side, and that's the worst possible outcome. Not even just for the loss. I don't want to see Nick Sirianni get fired. I don't. So that's the worst possible outcome. The other outcome is either we win, or even if we lose, we look the part of a team that belonged in the playoffs. Say Jalen's finger is still a problem. We're able to overcome a bunch of it, and it's a really tight game, and the team plays with a lot of heart and energy. Because you can tell when a team is playing hard, even if they don't win the football game. So let's say we come out there and, it's a late field goal by Tampa Bay that wins it. We lose 31-28 in a really competitive game. The team plays its ass off, and it just comes up short. Or we come out and win the game. Either of those two things happen, I think you can easily make the argument that the rumors of having lost the locker room were bullshit. Okay? If that team comes out and it looks like it's playing for its life, it looks like it's playing for its coach's job, then Nick hasn't lost the locker room. And win or lose, Nick gets to keep his job. Now, along with that, though, we also have to go back and take a look at some of the decisions that Nick Sirianni has made since the end of last season. We talked about this a few weeks ago right here on the show. Obviously, I'm talking about the two coordinator positions, right? We all thought, I think most of us thought that Brian Johnson was, obviously it doesn't have the experience of an NFL offensive coordinator, but had a great relationship with Jalen Hurts, had a great track record of working with quarterbacks. Keep in mind, this is the guy who was Dak Prescott's quarterback coach at Mississippi State when Dak had his big season. This is also the guy who made Kyle Trask look great as a starting quarterback for Florida, playing against SEC defenses, and our quarterback coach last year when Jalen Hurts looked unbelievable. You can make the argument that picking Brian Johnson for the OC job wasn't a bad choice. It just hasn't worked out, and it's been somewhat miserable at times, right? Even though the overall numbers look better, they're very misleading, because over that 5-1, that 1-5 stretch that English is referencing there, we've been atrocious, averaging like 18.5 to 19 points a game on offense. Not running the ball consistently. Take a look at the Arizona game. That was the worst run defense in football, and DeAndre Swift carried the ball 13 times. No need to keep going over that. We've beaten that to like a dead hurt. So it ends up being a poor decision by Nick. The more glaring bad decision was not promoting Denard Wilson and going outside the organization and hiring Sean Desai as the defensive coordinator. And he has been brutal. Now, look, our safeties are young, inexperienced. Some of them maybe not that good. Jury's still out. Our linebackers are terrible. Absolutely terrible. And that falls on Howie. Okay? That falls on roster construction more than it does coaching. However, they fell off a cliff defensively, in particular against the pass, which was the area that Denard Wilson was coaching. And oh ho hum, Denard Wilson is now the defensive backs and passing game coordinator in Baltimore, who has a top 5 pass defense, a top 5 defense overall. Now, it's not all him. I get it. It's nice to have linebackers like Roquan Smith out there. But it's nice to have a player like Kyle Hamilton, too. But some of it's coaching. It is. You know, I can't for the life of me believe that Slay and Bradbury fell that far off the shelf in one offseason. I could see regression, but to be a complete disaster to go from one season where they looked like the best corner tandem in the league to looking awful 1 year later, at least some of that has to be coaching. And then you throw in the Matt Patricia thing where it honestly looks like since he's been calling the plays, they may have actually gotten worse. Hassan Reddick is one of 2 players in the NFL to have at least 11 sacks in 3 straight seasons. Patricia's got him dropping back in coverage. Like, it's a mess on the defensive side of the ball. And those decisions to put these guys in those places belong to Nick Sirianni. So, where does that leave us? If Nick retains his job, the team comes out Monday night and either looks extraordinarily driven and very competitive in a loss, or comes out and wins the game. Nick keeps his job, but come this offseason, when both coordinators have to be replaced, it is not a Nick Sirianni decision. I'm not even sure how much input he should have. I think those come from Howie. Or maybe it's a committee decision, but it's definitely not a Nick Sirianni alone decision. I'll go back to the Denard Wilson thing and why that is 100% owned by Nick. Jeff and Howie, and you heard us on Right on Cue bashing Jeff, but Jeff and Howie wanted to promote Denard Wilson. They allowed Nick to make the decision to bring in Sean Desai. And at the time, rightfully so. All of us were saying, in Nick we trust. He had earned that right? No question about it. But it turns out to be a really bad decision. And I think some of his other decision-making needs to be put in check too. Let's take a look at the gift of an extra day off we got in between Dallas and Seattle. Now, you were going to have to fly to Seattle. You were going to get on a plane that Monday after the Dallas game regardless. You're gifted an extra day off as they moved our Seattle game to the Monday night. This team is absolutely exhausted at that point, having played back-to-back games against teams who were on 10 days rest through R7. And what does Nick Sirianni decide to do? Decides to get on that plane and fly back to Philly first. Basically wiping out that extra day because now that extra day has to be spent flying to Seattle from Philadelphia. Another bad decision by Nick. So he needs to be put in check. If he retains his job, he has got to be put in check. But that's what you're looking for Monday night. That's it. How does the team respond? What happens today? A.J. Brown deactivates his Twitter account and deletes all Eagle stuff off of his Instagram. Now look, this has become a thing with your modern players. And let's not fool ourselves. A.J. Brown is very much your diva wide receiver. And he needs the ball, right? And he needs the attention. And he needs this and he needs that. So if somebody on the team was going to do this, there is not an ounce of me that's surprised that it came from A.J. Brown. What does it mean? I have absolutely no idea. Nor am I going to try to figure it out or speculate. AJ has been throwing tantrums in some way, shape, or form pretty much all year. Look, dude, just play, okay? Everyone needs to show if AJ's thing about we need to be there for the coaches, because you've heard his statements. We need to step up for the coaches. If they truly believe that, then they need to do it on Monday night, because that game against the Giants stink. The Giants are a bad football team. And that was a must-win for us to keep pressure on Dallas. At bare minimum, you need to come out there and beat the hell out of the Giants and make Dallas have to play that whole game. Instead, we come out with our starters, albeit without DeAndre Swift or Devontae Smith. And with our starters on the field, we're down 24-0 to the freaking Giants. If that is the showing that happens on Monday night, I'm not sure Nick Sirianni doesn't get fired at halftime. Okay? But that's what you're looking for on Monday night, is to see just how the team's going to respond. Even if they lose, how do they look? How do they behave? What's the demeanor on the sideline? Are people getting on each other like, let's go? If you're not seeing any kind of fire, passion, extra effort shown out on the field, and it will be obvious. If you don't see it, then Nick's lost the locker room, and a bad loss on Monday night, he'll lose his job. So there's your answer for what happens Monday night. Now, let me get it over to the room here again. Andrew Bagley, Hurts hasn't thrown a ball since Sunday. Not a good thing. Don't want Mariota in. I am with you. With you 100%. But that's not going to be an excuse for Nick at this point. It's just not. There's been too much other shit that's going on. Mike English says, bring in Belichick, fire everyone, and put Howie back in the broom closet. Get the 15 wins in 2024. I don't want Bill Belichick. I don't want Bill Belichick at all. But if they, whatever team does hire him, needs to not let him make the decisions on draft day. Take a look at the Patriots roster if you need any proof of that. They're terrible. Oversight, that is what is needed. Yes, sir. Agreed. And English, where was English talking about the Dallas thing? Yeah, if you weren't aware, so if you go back to 2017 when Peterson was our head coach and we were on the Super Bowl run, we played back-to-back games on the West Coast. We did not fly back to Philly in between. Peterson kept the team out there. And now maybe that's something that has to be worked out when the schedule first gets released or whatever, but it's a head coach's decision. And a piss poor one by Sirianni this year by flying back to Philly from Dallas just to fly from Philly out to Seattle when you were gifted an extra day's rest that you really could have taken advantage of. Steven Suter in the room. What do you got? Eagles offense is staler than a Wawa pretzel. Yikes. That's pretty bad. Yeah, Mike English, there it is. Dallas to Philly, back to Seattle. Brutal. Yeah. And after they gave us the extra day, if you'd have just gone from Dallas to, now look, I'm not trying to say that would have made the difference in the game, but at least it would have shown that he was making good decisions based on the state of his team. And even if that should have been a decision that was easy to make when the schedule first got released, you could see that it was coming out of the bye at Kansas City, who was also off a bye. It was then home for Buffalo, who was on 7 days rest while we were on 6, coming off that emotional game in Kansas City. It was then San Francisco in Philly, Frisco on 10 days rest to R7. Then at Dallas, Dallas on 10 days rest to R7. All of that was visible when the schedule was released. You had to know your team was going to be a little tired. Even if we got through that with victories, you were going to be worn out. So when they gave you that extra day, you fly from Dallas straight to Seattle. That was the play, and they didn't do it. And that's a Nick decision. So, yeah, like Russ said, like I was saying before, Nick needs to be checked, okay? The oversight has to be there because he's made some bad decisions. All right. Now, I had some good stuff for you guys here about coaches, and we got kind of off the rails a little bit. So I'm going to go back to it, if you don't mind. The carousel started this week, right? Obviously, it was going to a Black Monday. And there were some that were not a surprise, right? Like Arthur Smith in Atlanta. Coached there for 3 seasons, went 21-30, all 3 seasons at 7-10. His defense was never better than 18th in points per game allowed. Offense never better than 15th in points per game scored. Mishandling the touches for a talent like Bijan Robinson definitely helped put a nail in the coffin this year with another 7-10 finish in what was a really winnable division. Probably made that decision pretty easy. But as long as Arthur Blank is there, not so sure that there's going to be a whole lot of great decision making there to begin with. Another one that was not a surprise was used to be called Riverboat. Now we'll call him Rowboat, Ron Rivera, with the Washington Red football commodes. 4 years there from 2020 through 2023, posting a 26-40-1 record. The bottom falls out, way out this year at 4-13. Points per game allowed from a defensive coach where you'd think there would be some consistency all over the place. They were 4th in 2020, 23rd in 2021, 7th in 2022, and dead last this year. Points per game scored at the bottom third or quarter of the year of the league every year under his tenure. 25th in 2020, 23rd in 2021, 24th in 2022, and 25th this year. So not even Eric Bieniemy could get them through. And the writing, to me, the writing was on the wall once Bieniemy was brought in there. I will give Ron credit. Obviously, the man beat cancer. Anyone who does that gets the, obviously big salute and shout out to him for that. He also had to deal with Dan Snyder as the owner for pretty much his entire tenure there. So, look, if Ron wants to continue coaching and he's willing to accept a defensive coordinator role, I think I know a team that's going to be looking for an experienced defensive coordinator this offseason pretty soon, right? We just talked about him. All right, let's get a couple of surprises here. Pete Carroll, Seattle Seahawks, coach from 2010 through 2023, posting a 137-89-1 overall record, 10-9 in the playoffs, and one Super Bowl. It was his one-time Super Bowl champion. Obviously, he created the Legion of Boom. Yes, he went to Seattle evading sanctions coming down from USC, but with Russell Wilson in his prime, plus that nasty defense, the Seahawks were easily one of the league's best for a very long stretch of time. And they built that 12th man culture in Seattle. He's easily their best head coach ever. However, to add a little salt on it and a little comedy to it, he is going to be known for the worst play call in Super Bowl history by not giving the ball the beast mode in what should have led to back-to-back Super Bowl titles, but instead paved the way for Brady and the Pats to grab another one. Another one, at least a little bit of a surprise, not too bad. Excuse me. Mike Vrabel, Tennessee Titans from 2018 to 2023. 54-45 overall, 2-3 in the playoffs. I guess when you look at it, it's not that big of a surprise considering they've gone drastically downhill the past two seasons at 7-10 and 6-11 respectively, after having 3 straight playoff appearances, 2 straight division crowns, and they did make one AFC championship game as a wild card before that. Another case where it was a very winnable division, but the emergence of CJ Stroud has put the rest of that division on notice. And overall, the Titans just did not do a good job of addressing the quarterback situation, as Ryan Tannehill was really never a stud, but played well enough with, Derrick Henry as a threat. It has led to Tennessee being in what I like to call a quarterback deficit in almost every game they play. And finally, of course, Sam and I talked about Bill Belichick. Now, take just that handful of coaches, okay? Vrabel, Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Arthur Smith, and who else did I have on there? Vrabel, Carroll, and Ron Rivera. What do all of these guys have in common? Aside from being somewhat part of the Belichick coaching tree or, having played for Belichick. What do all of them have in common? And think about coaching philosophy, right? All of them do, their background is pretty much one thing. Arthur Smith jumped around a little bit, but the other 4 predominantly are what? They are defensive coaches. So this is just another sign of the way the league has been going, all geared towards offense and the way the league rules are and the way that defenses aren't allowed to really play. What you have now is a league that sells offense. Okay. So the entire length of the field, when they have all that space, it's really hard to defend with the rules being geared so much against the defense. So what you're seeing is where we used to call, like, say, that old Colts defense with Peyton Manning, where they were bend, don't break. Well, take a look around the league and watch these teams play. And how many times can you say that about different teams now? Cincinnati Bengals are a prime example. Oh, they're bend, don't break. Or, the Eagles a little bit. They're bend, don't break, although we've been just shattered to pieces. But there's a number of teams like that now. I don't think it's a bend, don't break anymore. I think what you're seeing is the Raiders, perfect. I think what you're seeing is defensive philosophy changing to where they know they can't stop you from moving down the field because the cards are so stacked against them. What they're doing is they are focusing strictly on leverage situations, areas where they have an advantage. And where is that for a defense? When the field is shorter, the red zone, right? When you get to the 20-yard line, the field is only now 30 yards long, 30 yards deep. That's it. The defense has an advantage. You can't stretch the field that much, okay? So that's why you're seeing teams like the Bengals. If you want to watch a film of a team that does exactly what I'm talking about, go back and watch the Bengals play the Seattle Seahawks. Geno is driving down the field pretty much at will. Gets inside the 20, and Cincinnati just clamps down. And this is with, it's not like he's got no weapons. Lockett's a good wide receiver. DK Metcalf is an animal, and a huge one at that. So I think that's what you're starting to see across the league now, is not so much a bend, don't break mentality, but we can't do shit about it from the goal line to the 20 for those 80 yards. But for these 20, you're in our house. And we're going to focus on this area and creative ways to stop you here. That's my opinion of it. And, these coaches that got let go, Carroll, Vrabel, Belichick parting ways with the Patriots, Rivera, all defensive minds in a league that is geared towards offense. This is where guys like Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, who's the knucklehead in Green Bay, Nick Sirianni. The league and owners, they want offensive-minded head coaches, okay? Colin Cowherd talks about this a lot, and at first I'm like, dude, really, you're just, you're kind of beating it a little bit here. But the more and more I think about it, and the more I watch, the more and more I think he's right. And Cowherd can annoy me at times, but I think at this one he's got the nail on the head. I really do. So there's your coaches. Now, quick rundown of the games here, and then we're going to get out of here. The Browns are giving 2 points to the Texans tomorrow at 4:30. The over is 44.5. I would say that's a pretty solid disrespect to the Texans as home underdogs, albeit just by 2 points. You look at the line. Obviously, Vegas is looking at this as somewhat low scoring, but a tight contest, and I think I agree. I think this game is a dark horse game of the week. I understand that Cleveland is not everyone's cup of tea, and the Factory of Sadness usually delivers in epic fashion when it comes to situations like this. But let's take a look at these Browns. They are number 1 in yards per game allowed. Number 1 against the pass, 11th against the run, 13th in points per game allowed. You'd say it would be their offense that's a problem, but they are surprisingly 10th in points per game despite the flaws that we all think are there. The biggest flaw they have is their turnover differential, where they are -9. And when the calendar turns to January and you get into the playoffs, you can't come out with a negative turnover differential. You're going to end up with a quick exit. As for the Texans, pretty simple. DeMeco Ryans has done an amazing job down there. But that team is going to go as far as C.J. Stroud can take them. He has got to be the offensive rookie of the year. 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I'm looking at that game. When I saw that was the first game to get announced in the time slot, and I was excited. I can't wait to watch this game tomorrow afternoon. I'm looking forward to it. And I really want to see I'm going to go ahead and take the Browns here. It has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that my in-laws are from just outside of Cleveland. Nothing at all. Then we're going to go to Miami and Kansas City. Sam and I kind of already talked this one. I like the Chiefs here. The line's 4.5. Now, granted, when I give you the line and the over-under, it is based on CBS as of like an hour ago. So you got my Kansas City by 4.5 with the over at 43. That 43 might be high considering the weather. And like I said when Sam and I were talking, I'd like to sit here and tell you it's all about Miami's high-flying offense versus the Chiefs' number 2 ranked defense. I'd love to talk about Mahomes and Kelsey versus a very underrated Fish defense, which is 10th overall. But let's be honest, folks, those aren't the biggest stories with this game. First, it's the weather. Reports are wind chills down around -30. So while I would normally give Kansas City a clear cold weather advantage over warm weather Miami, like we talked about earlier, when things get that extreme, I'm not sure anyone has a really clear advantage. And to be honest, the Dolphins are deeper at running back. So if you think this game's going to be ground and pound, the Fish have the advantage. Andrew Bagley says some places got the line at Chiefs at -5. I can see it. And then, of course, second, and this is where I put my Quimby hat on. Way to go, NFL. Show your fans that they don't matter. For the low price of $110 million, Roger Goodell sold this matchup to NBC/Peacock, and it is only on Peacock streaming. And you have to have the Plus membership or whatever. All of the revenue is shared, so each team makes $3,437,500 on this game. Thank you, dickheads. As far as the outcome, if it ends up being ground and pound, I like Miami's chances. But like I said earlier, until someone beats Patrick Mahomes at home in the playoffs, I am going to stick with Patrick Mahomes at home in the playoffs. All the respect in the world to Lou and Ashley, and I love you guys to death. But this is an absolutely terrible draw for the Dolphins. And ultimately, again, until somebody beats Mahomes, I'll take Kermit to win the game tomorrow night. That moves us to Sunday, 1 p.m., Pittsburgh at Buffalo. Buffalo by 9 with the over at 33. So what is all of that telling you? That Vegas is thinking Buffalo just dominates. Even if they don't completely dominate the scoreboard, that they dominate the game. And I happen to agree. Now you're looking at 26 degrees and the chance of snow in Buffalo. We all saw Cincinnati walk into Buffalo last year in the snow in a Buffalo weather type game, and Cincinnati beat their ass. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not the Cincinnati Bengals of 2022. First of all, they don't have Joe Burrow. Second of all, they don't have Jamar Chase. Third of all, they don't have T. Higgins. They don't have Joe Mixon. They don't have any of that. What they do have is a team that has now finished with a negative point differential in 3 straight seasons and 4 of the last 5. What they do have is a team that has now finished 8-8 or 9-8 in 5 of the last 6, with the one outlier being the 12-4 year in 2020 when, oh, by the way, they were 9-0 that season. And they finished 3-4 down the stretch before getting bounced out of the playoffs by who? The Cleveland Browns. As great as Mike Tomlin is, and he is a great head coach, I get it. Heading into Buffalo without TJ Watt is going to be way too much to ask in this one. take Josh Allen and the Bills to move on here. Andrew Bagley backs me up. The Steelers are going to get smoked. He's also asking if Jalen Waddle is still hurting. I mean, at this point in the year, everybody's hurting. I would say he's probably he was out last week. He can't possibly be 100%, and now it's freezing cold. Look, unless the Dolphins can ground and pound with the 3 running backs that they do have, you've got Mostert, A-Chain, and then who is it? Jeff Wilson. If the Chiefs can't stuff the run, then I like Miami's chances. If Miami can't get it going on the ground, I don't like their ability to be able to. It's not a finesse type of weather environment. So that's going to move us. All right. And I said take Buffalo over Pittsburgh. I don't know that I'd lay 9 points in the playoffs, but if there was going to be a game where I would lay 9 points, it's that one. Moves us to 4:30. Green Bay at Dallas. Dallas by 7 with the over at 50.5. As soon as all the matchups were ready, I had this one nailed as a 4:30 Sunday afternoon game. It was the perfect time slot. Green Bay's won 9 of the last 10 versus Dallas, surprisingly enough. However, Dallas is deadly at home. They have won 15 straight home games. They've averaged winning their games this season at home by an average score of like 40-15. It's put Dak Prescott in the MVP talk, which makes myself and I know all of you want to vomit. The Packers have had a nice second half. Jordan Love has started to look the part of a decent NFL quarterback. Ultimately, I think the Dallas Cowboys are more talented. And come this time of year, I think the talent wins out. I know Dallas's propensity to choke in the playoffs. This is a home game, and they are absolutely deadly at home. And while I think Green Bay has been a nice story in the second half, and I hate doing this, I think the Dallas Cowboys probably come out on top in this one. I'm not rooting for it. I want the Packers to win. I mean, look at it this way. If us, the Packers, and the Rams all win, the Rams come to Philly, we host a home game. We host a playoff game. So, anyways, for multiple reasons, I'll be rooting for Green Bay. One, to beat Dallas, first and foremost. But then, depending on the outcome of our game, if Green Bay wins, Green Bay automatically goes to San Francisco. And I'd rather not go to San Francisco if I could avoid it, if we are actually able to beat the Buccaneers. But if you put a gun to my head and ask me to pick the game tomorrow, Sunday afternoon, Green Bay, Dallas, I'm going to take Dallas. Again, I don't know that I'd lay the points, but we'll just have to wait and see. And that brings us to the Sunday night game. Rams at Lions. Sunday night, Lions by 3 with the over at 52. So they're calling for a whole lot of offense in this one. We're going to call this one the Matt Stafford, the Stafford Goff Bowl. I like the idea of it being a shootout. The only question for me from the Detroit side is, will Dan Campbell learn from being foolishly aggressive in the loss to Dallas? And of course, I'm talking about the extra point situation where he goes for 2, gets it, bad call by the ref, and then he lines up to go for it again, this time from the 7-yard line. Micah Parsons jumps off sides. Third time out there, goes for it again, and of course, Goff with a terrible throw. Look, once you didn't get it on the first one, you kick the extra point, you take your chances in overtime. You don't keep pushing this. Okay, don't tempt the football gods. And he did it, and he paid for it. So will he learn from that? While a Rams win, would help our cause, should we be fortunate enough to beat Tampa? I think overall I'd like to see Detroit beat the Rams here. I don't care for Sean McVay. I don't care for the way he handled that whole thing with Goff, where Goff was talking about piping his girlfriend, now wife. I don't care for Sean McVay. I think it's time for Stafford to kind of ride off into the sunset. And I like Dan Campbell. For as foolish as a decision as he can make sometimes being too aggressive, I happen to like Dan Campbell. So I'm going to root for Detroit here, and I'm going to say Detroit wins a close one. Call it a late field goal, and Detroit gets it. And that brings us to our game on Monday night, which we've already talked about. No reason to go over stats for our game. It is strictly about how this team looks in a win or a loss on Monday night. Because that's going to tell us what our offseason is going to look like, right? It's either going to be a continuation of the Nick Sirianni era where Howie and Jeff and others are involved in hiring new coordinators, coordinators and coaches, or it's going to be the end of the Nick Sirianni era, in which case, where do we then go for a head coach? I've seen a billion posts about Bill Belichick. I will pass on Bill Belichick. I've seen posts about, Jim Harbaugh. I don't like Jim Harbaugh, okay? But the bottom line is he has been successful everywhere he's gone. The same cannot be said for Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick had a 20-year stretch of success when he had the best quarterback in NFL history playing for him. Outside of that, he was not a good head coach with the Jets he turned it down, but he was not a good head coach in Cleveland. His only other success was as a defensive coordinator with the Giants under Bill Parcells. Jim Harbaugh had success at Stanford. He had success with the 49ers. He's now won a national championship with Michigan. Jim Harbaugh may very well be the best option for anyone as far as an available coach. If I had to think of a place that he probably ends up, I'm going to say it's the Chargers because I don't think he's going back to Michigan. Think about Pete Carroll some years ago when all those sanctions were coming down and he split and went to Seattle. I think the same sort of thing is happening with Harbaugh at Michigan. There's a bunch of shit coming down, and I think it's time for him to get out of there. He's got nothing left to prove, right? He's won 3 straight versus his biggest rival in Ohio State. He's now won a national championship. What else does he have to prove? Nothing. He can go back to the NFL, and I think the Chargers is probably the best spot for him, where he'll have Justin Herbert, who desperately needs to be coached by a guy who understands coaching a quarterback and coaching an offense. You can throw the Chargers into the mix for firing Brandon Staley. He's another guy that was defense, and he got canned. So, all right, back over. I've been at it for an hour and 20 minutes here. Back over to the room here one more time before we call it a night. Keenan Harmon brings the best point of the night up here. Dom will be back on the sideline. Problem solved. Talked about this with my son the other night. We have been atrocious since Dom was kicked off the field. Dom will be back on Monday night. So let's just see if the curse of Dom gets broken on Monday night. Paddle boat run, we're broke. Russ Taylor, offense wins games, defense wins championships. Agreed. Today's NFL, though, don't know how much longer that's going to be a thing. Wacko for Flacco. Keenan Harmon says the Browns are a made-for-TV movie this year. They're on their 4th quarterback with Joe Flacco. Andrew Bagley says the Steelers are going to get smoked. I happen to agree. Keenan Harmon, today I joined the unemployment line next week. Steven Suter, CeeDee Lamb is on a tear the past month. And Steven Suter again, McVay looks like a lawn gnome. And Keenan Harmon says, Dom on the sideline and Covey in the slot. Easy peasy. Man, I hope you are correct. All right, kids. I've been at it for a while here. Was great to have Super Sam come on. Sam, if you're still listening, thank you very much for dropping in and giving us all of your anger at Bill Belichick and the sports world for giving him so much coverage. All of you in the room, Keenan Harmon, Steven Suter, Andrew Bagley, Russ Taylor, Lou Mancini, who else? Mike English. I don't know if I missed anyone. I am so terrible about writing this stuff down. But for all of you who joined in and for all of you who are watching now or maybe watching later, thank you for tuning in. This has been the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. Come on back again next week. We'll be on Fridays. I think I'm sticking to Fridays, kids. Until something changes that, I'm enjoying this. I'm not rushed. And it's a little bit more relaxed atmosphere. So we're going to stick here. So come back again next Friday when we will talk about what transpired on Super Wildcard Weekend. Until then, be safe. Enjoy Super Wildcard Weekend. I know I'm going to. Oh, one last thing. My family and I, well, my kids, are going to do a cook-off this Sunday. We haven't done one in a while. The kids are going to do a dessert cook-off on Sunday. And seeing as it's just the kids involved, I decided to make available the Gilmore Cup Championship. Now, I bought this trophy for a cards and dice baseball game that my boys and I used to play together. I still play it, but the boys aren't really into it much anymore. And I'd create a tournament, and then whoever won got this. So I'm going to give them a chance to win this by having the best dessert on Sunday night. So we'll see how that goes. Guys, take care. Enjoy Super Wildcard Weekend. You'll see posts from me all weekend, and we're going to try to have some fun. If you're not already following me on Twitter, X, or whatever, head on over there and do that. Unhappy Gilmore 7. Because that's where I try to post more stuff when we're watching games. Anyways, folks, take care. Enjoy your weekend. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Don't forget, Monday is a holiday, so the judge ain't back till Tuesday. And until I talk to you next Friday, as always, go Birds! All right, folks, that's it for me. Take care. We love you.